oil spill remains an environmental challenge plaguing some communities in Nigeria today, even as the country is heavily dependent on fossil fuels. Harnessing renewable sources and other measures environmental activists say will promote a cleaner and healthy environment. Welcome to Green Angle. I am Esther Makariola. Oil spill, rusty pipelines, and lack of quality water have exposed residents to health hazards in a Lagos community. 12 years ago, senior reporter Adedoja Salam Adeniyi reported the case, but till now, nothing has changed.
Ẹ káàárọ̀ sà.
88-year-old Khalid Barua did not waste time as he led us straight to one of the water tanks provided for the community by the NNPC as a relief, but it never functioned. This is a story of a community that is sitting on a time bomb. Illegal activities of bunkers and pipeline vandals reign supreme. Aside pipeline vandalism, the community also battles environmental pollution caused by fuel that has affected their water. The source of the contamination of the groundwater is the oil seepage from a ruptured NNPC pipeline, which is unfixed.
Spent many of us, all our land earnings, we have spent it on water.
The only obligation we are expecting from Lagos State government is pipe-borne water. Now that the Adiyan water wells have been tested and they have been test run, and we feel it is getting ready, so please, Mr. Governor, supply us, give us the water in Barua, relieve us from these 20-something years of pains and sufferings.
Seeing young men move around with gallons of water in wheelbarrows called trucks is a norm here. In this house, premium motor spirits that can start a vehicle was discovered from a well in 2010.
The appearance and smell of this well water are signs telling that it has huge petroleum content. Residents of this community are therefore calling on the relevant government agencies concerned to hasten their promise in making this problem a thing of the past.
Good morning.
I am curious to know the state of things now.
This is the particular spot where a bucket of refined PMS was drawn from a well when I visited years back. The well has since been closed and a borehole sunk at the same spot, but residents are saying it is still not drinkable.
Ojúmọ́ là ń já pure water tá máa ń ṣe kíni tá máa ń lò tá máa fi ń dáná tá máa ń mu tá fi even gan papa sef a máa ń pọn lọ́dọ̀ àwọn mọ́là kan máa ń gbé omi tí wọ́n yẹn wà òkè tá fi ń wẹ̀ ni.
I only used to wash clothes and then wash some dishes, but I don't used to bathe because if I used to bathe, it reacts on my body.
No light, no water from the boreholes.
I've been calling you since morning, you didn't come.
Rashidat Latif has a family of 8. She buys 4 trucks of water daily. That is 40 gallons of water. This is the impact of the contaminated borehole in her bathroom. She told me how she spent a lot buying from water vendors.
It hasn't been easy for us because we have been suffering for buying water up and down. Because the water we are using here is not good at all. and it's really affecting us. We can't even bathe with the water. We can't cook with it. We can't use it for cleaning. If I said that I should count the amount of the water I've been buying since almost 20 years now, it is uncountable.
We go through the highway to the network of roads without proper drainage system to get to Karim Street, where water vendors get their water. This is the only place where the borehole water is safe to drink in Barua. Residents and vendors buy at 10 naira per bucket and keg, while the water vendors sell at 500 naira per 10 gallons.
Omi da òun là ń mu very drinkable. Èrò máa ń pọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ rí nsìn ibùdó pé ní tó jẹ́ Sundays àwọn èèyàn tó ti lọ sí church ni èrò máa pọ̀ tẹ́lú rẹ̀ máa full nígbà máa jà sí ń gbà mí gan.
This well is about 200 feet deep.
It is pure petrol. After the water is put right like this, and it's on the floor like this, after some time, the water, the petrol will float.
Float up.
Will float up, and the water will be down.
Well, just like this, all wells dug in this community are all contaminated, more than 300 of them.
Due to the contamination, residents suffer different health implications traced to the source of water that contains petroleum hydrocarbons. Dibale said,
It's toxic and it's smelly. It's affecting everybody's eyes. It's killing everybody gradually. We still see some of our people drinking it, but, well, we don't know. I don't know what the outcome will be. When you hear of cancer today, when you hear of this tomorrow, and so on and so forth, it's as a result of this thing.
Then we decided to dare the odds to visit the spot where the NNPC pipelines ruptured and vandals operate. We traveled through the pipeline area. Our bus had to stop here. While we continued the rest of the journey on foot, our tour guide requested the protection of his identity to avoid being recognized by vandals, especially their informants.
But line go straight down by. Only
Petrol. As part of measures to prevent fire outbreak in this area, some structures have been brought down to maintain a distance from the NNPC pipeline. And for more than 10 years now, pipes here are still exposed.
From here, everyone was dripped with fear. Nobody wants to take us to the place. Not even a tour guide anymore. They say it's a no-go area.
Far away there.
After much persuasion, our tour guide agreed. It's a long trek. The site looks passable as we gathered the Nigerian National Petroleum Company had just cleared the surrounding bushes of the pipeline. Our confidence and courage rose when we saw houses near the bush. Abandoned holes used in scooping fuel by vandals littered the way. It is obvious they are still indulged in this economic sabotage.
This is the marshy area where oil pipeline vandals have been operating in Barua community for the past 28 years unabated and creating fear for residents.
Despite repeated promises by the Pipeline and Product Marketing Company PPMC and other government agencies, oil pipelines in the area have remained broken and obsolete. When we visited the PPMC office at Ikoya Avenue, Ikoyi, Lagos, we were referred to Abuja. A top official of the PPMC in Abuja promised to look into the issue and get back to the community. Since the community lacked water, we took a trip to the Lagos State Water Corporation that promised to assist them.
Adion 1 is supplying, but there has been some issues with equipment here and there, so the pressure is not going as far as it's supposed to go. The major problem we have being the population explosions, the aging infrastructures, but please give us a time with some weeks, not months. We will make sure that we restore all the hope back in that vicinity. It may not be 100%, but we will get there so that they will not need to be using this borehole water. It's not good for your skin, and it's not good for consumption.
Before 1996, that the community discovered the contamination, Barua had existed for more than 50 years without this seepage. Until that help comes, residents would continue to live in fear of disaster. The leakage led to underground pollution, and it is spreading. The health hazards remain enormous as the people continue to use contaminated water. But water vendors, water business would continue to boom at the expense of the helpless residents.
In the meantime, Nigerian lawyer Chima Williams believes the country should invest more in renewable sources of energy to reduce incidents of oil spill, particularly in vulnerable communities. Well, this comes just as he was recently awarded the Goldman Environmental Prize for his work with 2 Niger Delta communities, which held Royal Dutch Shell accountable for environmental damage caused by a spill from its facilities between 2004 and 2007. And after 13 years of legal proceedings, the Court of Appeal sitting in The Hague ruled in favor of 3 Nigerian farmers from 2 of the communities.
Net zero does not solve any problem. Net zero is deceitful. It is just a calculation of figures that does not translate to anything on the ground. So if we want to do net zero that is acceptable, is that we should leave the oil in the soil, we should invest more in renewable energy sources and democratize energy utilization in the countries. Because even as it is today, if we move into renewable, how many community people can afford it at the price that it is going?
The Goldman Prize is awarded annually to environmental heroes from each of the world's 6 continental regions. It honors the achievements and leadership of grassroots environmental activists from around the world. Previous Nigerian winners of the Goldman Environmental Prize include the late playwright and environmentalist Ken Saro-Wiwa. And Green Angle returns in just a moment. Stay with us. Now let's shift our attention to other matters where air pollution is said to be deadlier than COVID-19, and the average air quality in Nigeria is 7 times above the acceptable standards. And that's according to the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tunji Abayomi, during an advocacy walk on air pollution and its impact on human health and the environment.
Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, is one of the world's fastest growing megacities, but many are breathing polluted air.
Air pollution is not all about just the messy things around society. I think it's what we emit that constitutes sicknesses, constitutes a lot of things in society.
Air pollution is dangerous in the sense that it affects the system, the lungs.
In a recent study by the World Bank on the cost of air pollution in the state, more than 11,000 premature deaths were recorded, out of which 60% were children under 5. To this end, the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, in partnership with the United States Mission in Nigeria, held an advocacy walk to raise public awareness of air pollution.
We are working, we have an air quality monitor here. They have multiple throughout the state, and we're sharing data. And I think that opportunity to have the data and bring awareness really will help in the steps ahead.
In order to achieve policies of government, laws of government, enforcement becomes mandatory. And this enforcement is also to act as a deterrent. I am not going to fine you, a multi-million naira company, 100,000 for polluting the air. I would fine you hundreds of millions for polluting the air. Very soon, we will start to get traffic offenders off the streets. No more air pollution in Lagos State.
Other top officials say, apart from legislating policies that will protect the environment, anyone caught polluting the air with toxic emissions will be penalized.
Because in ideal system, ideal society, you are expected to have clean vehicles with less emission. But what do we see? We see vehicles that have spent their time outside the country being brought into the nation as Tokunbo or Belgium. And they are the one creating all these pollutions we are seeing everywhere.
All Lagosians should be planting trees, and we're 20 million Lagosians. Imagine if every Lagosian was to plant a tree or a shrub every year. Lagos would be a very fresh and green city, and we'll be converting some of our pollutants into fresh oxygen.
Let's look inward. Let's start from our homes. Let's stop this pollution. Let's stop the behavioral pattern. So when we do that, then we can cascade that to the bigger society.
In the meantime, residents were asked to embrace clean energy sources, even as the state assured of proper regulation of other industrial zones.
Well, in the meantime, there are concerns about the potential threats of tobacco use to the environment. Governments have been asked to hold the tobacco industry accountable for its environmental damages and support viable alternatives to tobacco farming to limit the impact of the practice.
To the factory level, they can produce edible fruits and any other thing at the end of the day that we can consume and not be sick. So the truth is, it is easy. Around Corona, when the coronavirus came, we saw some of these alcoholic industries. They started producing hand sanitizers, telling you that these people were capable of producing very usable and important products. But the truth is, they preferred to produce some of these dangerous products.
This year's World No Tobacco Day offers an opportunity for all Africans to come together and claim their right to a healthy environment.
And finally, saving the planet starts with raising eco-conscious citizens, even as environmental activists believe exposure to nature helps reduce attention deficit disorders in children and improve their social and motor skills.
Children are leaders of tomorrow, so the saying goes. And building a climate-resilient future starts with educating the young generation. In line with this objective, pupils drawn from different schools in Lagos took part in some activities, such as live painting and poetry presentation, in line with the theme for this year's International Day for Biological Diversity, Building a Shared Future for All Life.
This is just to sensitize the children and help them to appreciate that we need to all come together and act as one people. So we're trying to use it as a way of really getting the children aware of the reality that we are not taking care of nature, and we need to have a renewal of our minds.
We are experiencing today global warming, extreme change in weather affecting our very existence. We see on a daily basis pollution in the atmosphere, pollution in the oceans, whereby the fishes are dying, and all these are some of the adverse effects of climate change.
Some students here tell me they are not only having fun at the nature park, but know what to do to care for the environment.
Nature is a phenomenon of the physical world, collectively including plants, animals, landscape, other features, and other products of the earth.
Plastics are actually recyclable, and if you burn it, they emit carbon dioxide into the air. So we should try our possible best to recycle the plastics, because if you recycle it, you can end up getting something useful out of it, like plastic chairs.
I believe we can care for our environment by recycling our waste.
If we can reduce the way we burn plastics, the gases we emit from our exhaust tires and all of that stuff, it really reduce the environmental pollution we are suffering in our world today.
While this initiative is geared towards nurturing young minds,
And that's about it on this week's edition of Green Angle. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Mapariola. Bye for now.